So today we are making 2 Cinderella doll cakes. 2 for the price of 1. I'm revamping my old Cinderella doll cake and showing you how to create the classic Cinderella. Hi everyone, my name is Camila Cabello. Let's get started. Now before we get into it, I need your support, you guys. And so there's 2 options. You can donate $50 to help support the channel, or you can hit the like button. Both do the same thing, did you know that? If you want to see more doll cakes, make sure you hit the like button. That lets me know how much you like it and if you want to see more. I'm also highlighting the ASPCA so that you can donate, volunteer, or find yourself a very good senior companion. Not an old person, an old animal. Now let's get into it. So to create our first Cinderella doll cake, I'm using a blue funfetti doll cake that I baked in my doll cake pan from Wilton. Oh, look at that. Caramelization looks so pretty with all the sprinkles on the side. So I just leveled out the bottom, cutting this into 4 equal layers. It's so hard to cut this into 4 layers because it's so thick. So the bottom layer is kind of not perfect, but that's alright. The other 2 are easy to create when I was using my cake leveler. I always find it so hard to level doll cakes. I have to cut a hole in the middle of each of my cakes so that my doll will fit in the middle. Now we got some buttercream in between each layer. I'm using 4. I wanted a little bit more height when it comes to like where the cake falls on her hips, and 4 layers means approximately like 1/4 of an inch more of height because there's 1/4 of an inch more of icing. If you want less height, then only do 3 layers, or you can make a smaller cake. Oh, nice. Crumb coat you got going there. Now the next step I used to do after I placed on my first layer of fondant, but I'm doing it before so that I can hide the seam at her waist. I'm just adding a ring of white fondant to the top of the cake. And then I'm gonna cover my entire cake with this luxurious, soft blue. Worked it all the way around my cake, enhancing the folds that fall naturally, and then placing my Cinderella doll cake all the way down to the bottom. I just took the fondant and pushed it very slowly up against her waist to make it look seamless. That way I don't have like the seam from the top of the dress and then this like awkward waist seam that I used to have. It works out better that way. After I did the basics, it was time to recreate my Cinderella doll cake. I posted this video a long time ago and I thought it'd be fun to update it because back then I wasn't really confident with how I would manipulate fondant, especially trying to turn it into fabric. And I've done so many doll cakes since then that I can actually take some of the icing elements and create them in fondant so this looks like a dress and not a cake. I really want this to look like if you saw this in the toy section, you would just think it was a doll wearing a dress, and it wasn't until you cut into it that you actually realize it was a cake. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work some fabric lines all the way down the bottom of my cake. Somewhere shorter than others, just so that it looks more realistic. I'm really only kind of doing like backless dresses. It's really easy to create a doll cake if you're creating a backless dress because you don't have to worry about how it wraps around the back. It's just so much simpler that way. Ooh, this is like the most complicated fold. So I'm putting a penguin fold. I came up with that name. I came up with this fold onto both sides of this dress. I want this dress to be very symmetrical. So you're taking this fold that starts off looking like a penguin, right? And then you're just going to wrap it back and forth at an angle like that until you have this really nice fold. You see? Oh, fancy. Super fancy. I'm working on a separate video that has all the different folds that I've created for doll cakes so that you can take them, you can be creative and create your own dress using them. So I'm applying this penguin fold to both sides. And to make it look more realistic, again, just adding some fabric lines to the inside of the folds so that they look like they're bunching up a little bit, you know, like real fabric. Real fabric does that. After my penguin folds were perfect, I added another layer of fondant to the back of this dress. I wanted it to be almost like a top coat on the bottom. What is that? I don't know. But I thought the different shades of blue would look really nice. And I actually used a royal blue mixed with a little bit of satin ice silver. So there's a lot of sparkle in this blue. You can actually see it shimmer in the light. I'm just adding some folds to the edges again so that it looks like it's fabric. I actually did it with 2 pieces of fondant, but because the silver satin ice is so, it's so easy to work with. I was able to just smoothen out the seam at the back and you can't tell it's there. Now I got a circle of fondant that I wrapped around her shoulders to give her a little bit of a shawl. And then I started to add another piece of fondant to the front. There's a ton of fondant on this. This piece is very thin. I wanted it to look like there was a white sort of, you know, like, what is that called? Tulle? I think that's called tulle. Tulle fabric underneath, and I want it to be showing through. So I thought the easiest way would to just place a triangle piece of white fondant to create that effect, and then cover it up with some blue on the sides. After that, it was time to start adding all of my other fondant features. Now, a lot of the things that I created with icing originally, I'm doing with fondant so that this looks like a dress from a store and not just like cake with icing. I use these molds. I bought them on Wish like 6 months ago. And remember, when you buy things on Wish, it takes like 2 months to get to you. Sometimes even longer. So you have to prepare. But it's this, okay? Ooh, it's that. And also, it's this. Ooh, I use this too. Now there is one thing that I am going to recreate on this dress that is the same as the original dress, and that's the piping. I used royal icing to pipe out the trim. I thought it looked really nice, and it was a really easy way to create beading for the dress. However, all of the more complicated icing details I'm going to use fondant to create. It just looks so much more polished. Finish this off, I'm just going to highlight some of my fondant pieces with some luster dust to give it some shine. And voila! My Cinderella doll cake was complete. Do you like it? I love it. I like the way that it translates into fabric. Interpreting the icing detail on the original cake was really interesting because I had to figure out what kind of fabric it would actually be. And then I thought about how almost all like very bellowy ball gowns have tulle underneath it, so I was like, yeah, it would be tulle. Now let's create the original doll cake. Let's create the original Cinderella doll cake. I'm using pink this time. I decided to use pink because I know that in the movie she's originally wearing her mom's pink dress before it gets like shut down by her stepsisters. So I thought it'd be cool if I used pink underneath this because I know that the dress that she ends up wearing is actually just a reimagining of her mom's dress. It's going through the same process, and it was time to recreate the dress. To panel around the bottom of the ball gown, and it's actually a balance between blue and silver because I know in the original animated movie it was more silver than it was blue, and it just evolved over the years into this light blue. So you have a mix of both. Now I'm going to place my doll into the middle of my cake, and just like my first Cinderella doll cake, I added a ring of fondant underneath so that I could create a seamless waist. Now let's start to recreate it. So to begin, I'm creating a backless top. Again, I don't know if that is originally what she's wearing, but it's easier to create. So that's what I'm doing. And I think it looks pretty nice too. Now instead of creating a very complicated penguin fold, I'm just using a piece of fondant that looks like a sail from a sailboat and just folding it over so that it looks like fabric that's moving in the wind. Oh, stunning, huh? Look at that. Just fold it over. Just a triangle that you fold over. It looks nice. Then I'm adding fabric lines to make it look more realistic. Hey guys, I'm editing right now and I realized that I forgot to tell you that if you want to see a second doll cake video, I just posted one on Mighty Mix of my OMG LOL doll cake. I get requested for this a lot. I didn't think it deserved a full video, but I am still proud of the simple design, and so I posted it there. So go check it out. Now there isn't too much detail on this dress, so I tried to emphasize the different seams that would be on like a regular dress. So we've got one going down the middle of the top, and then I created these like very bellowy sort of panels that go on the side of her waist. Now I'm adding 2 sleeves that just like fall off the shoulder. Ooh. And because this is a backless dress, I'm just gonna wrap it and just have them touching around the back like that. Just pretend that there's some sort of like a clip that would hold them together if this was a real dress. Ooh, and then I'm gonna give her a nice blue band of fondant around her hair. I wanted it to look a little bit more elegant, so I'm spraying it down with a little bit of magic sauce. And the reason for that is because I want to sprinkle on some white shimmer dust to make the dress sparkle. Then I'm just gonna use white and blue luster dust to highlight different aspects of the dress. And voila, my classic Cinderella doll cake was complete. Oh my god, I love it. It is stunning, I love it, it's stunning! The classic animated Cinderella doll cake is beautiful, and the live action one is gorgeous as well, but I don't like it as much as this dress. This dress was so iconic. But I'm curious, which one of my Cinderella doll cakes do you like better? Do you like the one that I dreamt up, or do you like the original one? And let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me create Cinderella's mother's pink dress and then take that design and then interpret it into a totally new dress. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love you. I'll see you very soon.